Hey, it's Melissa Moore, and welcome to Melissa's Mile High Kitchen, once again here at the beautiful showroom at Mountain High Appliance here in Littleton, Colorado. And we're in the Jen Air kitchen today, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But here's what I want you to think about. You are wanting that delicious, gluten-free sausage tater tot. Some people call it an egg bake. We grew up calling it an egg casserole. Well, I have got the easiest recipe for you today. And like I said, it's gluten-free. It is delicious. And yes, you could even make this dairy-free too. So if you want to make those adjustments, go ahead. But this is such a great recipe because one of the things I'm going to show you today is if you've known somebody who's maybe been in the hospital or somebody you just want to take food to, this is a great recipe to make in one of those disposable 13 by 9-inch pans, and then you can either freeze it yourself, put it in the freezer, pull it out, heat it up a different morning, or you can take it to somebody and say, hey, eat it now if you want, freeze it, reheat it, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to show you all of that today here on Melissa's Mile High Kitchen. All right, let's get going first. It is this beautiful Jen Air kitchen that we're in today. And if you're wondering about Jen Air, and I know I've always loved Jen Air kitchens, they are known for luxury and bold design and innovative technology. And just from the little bit of time that I've been here working so far today, I'll tell you what, they're easy to use. And for me, it has to be easy. I'm just one of those people, I want ovens that preheat fast. I want ovens that cook thoroughly and consistently, and that's what I'm finding here with the Jen Air kitchen at Mountain High Appliance Showroom. So once again, we're at the Littleton location, Littleton, Colorado. They also have one up north, and you can check it out at mountainhighappliance.com if you want more information. All right, let's move on to that tater tot sausage egg casserole. And like I said, it's gluten-free, and the best thing is it's also super easy. So if you haven't done it yet, I want you to go over, and I already did it before we started today, and preheat that oven to 375. All right, that's the first thing you need to do. Then, and I told you, one of the things I'm doing today is I'm using these disposable 13 by 9-inch, they're cake pans. I found them on the baking aisle at the grocery store, but you can also use a regular sturdy one if you're just making it for your house, or a ceramic one. I'm making them into disposable today because I'm going to be throwing mine in the freezer, and then I'm also going to make a second one later and take that over to some family who had some stuff going on. So we're going to do that. So the first thing I want you to do is, as we're getting this recipe ready, we are going to get our veggies and our sausage ready. So I've got, and I grabbed Jimmy Dean just because it's consistently good. I grabbed a 16-ounce Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage. Now, I know I've had people say, hey, I like doing turkey sausage. It works just as well with turkey. All right, the other thing you're gonna need is half an onion, all right? And then you're gonna need 1 pepper. Now, you can do, I've done it before with just 1 whole red pepper. This time I'm doing half an orange, half a red, just to kind of give it a little more color, and then half an onion. All right, so I've already cut them in half, but let's get them diced up. So you're wanting to get your peppers, and I've got over here, this is kind of what I call my scrap bowl, whatever you want to call it. So I'm cleaning out the peppers. And one of the things I have found, and I've learned from chefs, because I'm not a chef, I'm just a home baker, home cook, but they always talk about the key is cutting up your vegetables consistently as far as size-wise goes. And the whole reason why is that it cooks consistently then. So we are cutting up and dicing half right now of an orange pepper. All right, so we'll get this done. And these knives are super sharp. So as my husband watches these, he says he always cringes because he's like, oh my gosh, she's gonna cut herself. And I'm like, no, I only do that at home, babe. I'm not gonna do it here. All right, so we're getting this cut up. And sometimes I will just kind of go through and give it another chop just to get them a little bit smaller. And then, so I always take out just kind of the white pieces on the inside. All right, so now we're gonna cut the other half of the red. All right, so right now, what I'm doing is just getting this diced up. Like I said, there's always, you know, some big pieces here. I wanna get those as small as I can. All right, so there's all the peppers. Now, as this is happening, what I'm going to do is get the stovetop ready here. I'm putting it on about a medium heat. All right, and that is what all the peppers and the onions are going to be going into. All right, so once again, now we're down to half an onion. And I've shown this on some of the other cooking ones, how I cut an onion. And this is, I don't know if you can see this. This, how the onion looks wet, that's how you know you have a fresh onion. If you ever cut the onion and it's super dry, it's a little too old. Or if you pull one out of the fridge, you're like, oh, I used that half onion a week or two ago, and you pull it out and it's dry, not really fresh, get a different onion. The hardest part for me is always getting this daggone, I always call it the paper of the onion, but it's really the skin. All right, so you want to get all of that pulled off. All right, so you still have that there. So then this is how I cut onions, if you've got a way you like better. I'm making consistent slices all the way to the bulb. And then you'll see why. Okay, then I turn it. And you're supposed to curl your fingers so you don't cut your fingers. I'd lose a nail probably before I lose a finger. But you can see, for the most part, it's working. Okay, throw that little bit away. And then I've got some big pieces here. Once again, want to get those kind of diced up. All right, so these are the veggies in your sausage tater tot egg casserole. So this is what's going to give it that great flavor. All right, so pan is getting warm. Here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to get the sausage out here. And once again, use whatever sausage you want. I've got a few different favorites. Jimmy Dean, Polidori, they're all good. All right, throwing that away. All right, I try to break it up a little bit. And you can kind of hear it starting to sizzle, which is awesome. All right, so you've got your sausage browning. And now you're going to put in your peppers, your onions, and let all of that brown and cook. So while the sausage and the onions and the peppers are all browning, we're going to get the actual egg part of this dish ready to go. So once you get 8 eggs, it's good if they're room temperature. They don't have to be though. So you're going to get 8 eggs, whole eggs, and you are just throwing them in the bowl here. Watch for shells. If you get any, then we got to fish them out. But once again, so you're getting 8 eggs. This is the base of the egg bake. And when I say this is easy, it really is. Okay. 2 more here. All right, so we've got 8 eggs in there. Next thing we're going to do is I've got 1 cup, a half and half. I like it a little richer, which is why I do the half and half. Then I've got a half a cup of sour cream. I will tell you this, if you want to do dairy-free and do dairy-free sour cream, dairy-free cheese, you can. I have never used the vegan eggs before. I've bought them for my daughter. She's done them scrambled. I haven't used them in an egg bake before, but I'm going to try it because I'm super curious how that's going to work. All right, so after the half a cup of sour cream, you're doing half a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and now you're going to whisk all of this together. All right, sausage is still browning. And you just want this really mixed up nicely. So no clumps. You want all the eggs to be broken. I mean, you don't want to see any yolks in there. It should all be nicely mixed. This is probably the heaviest whisk I've ever used. It's like working out with a barbell. It looked really good and sturdy. All right, but you can tell, okay? As you look at this, you can kind of see what's happened here. I mean, if you've done scrambled eggs, I mean, that's all you're doing is whisking all of this together, not rocket science. But this is the important stuff right here. All right, we're gonna put that to the side a little bit. As you can tell, I'm kind of a messy cook. All right, sausage, onions, still browning. Break up the sausage into smaller pieces. I mean, everybody loves getting that big chunk of sausage, but smaller pieces is always good. Okay, so as that is finishing up, probably have 2 or 3 more minutes on that. Let's get the tater tots and the pan ready. So you want a 13 by 9 inch pan. And if you've got just a regular cookie or not cookie, but cake pan, that's fantastic. But if not, buy these disposable ones. The only thing is they're a little flimsy, so you have to be a little careful as you put them in the oven. First thing I want you to do, you can hear the sausage snapping over here, which is cool. First thing I want you to do is spray whatever 13 by 9 inch pan you're using. I'm turning the heat down a little bit to low. Spray that pan really well. And now you are going to put tater tots down. Now, here is what I have found. It's so funny because when I first made this recipe, I thought, well, it's going to look kind of weird because it's going to be tater tots on the bottom. But what I will tell you is the tater tots, you don't even realize they're tater tots as you're cutting this dish out, because the tater tots actually just turn into a hash brown mash on the bottom. So to make sure I get it evenly covered, I do, as you can tell, this little, putting them in rows. I'm using, this takes about 2 pounds of tater tots, maybe a few less, but about 2 pounds of tater tots. Get one of the big bags. I think sometimes that's easier to tell you that than to tell you how many cups of tater tots. Because I'm like, I don't know about you. Somebody, when I first started cooking, said, well, it's going to be this many cups. I'm like, who measures tater tots with cups? Like, just tell me how many pounds of tater tots. So 2 pounds. All right, so we're getting them. And if you're a little OCD like I can be, this is where you'll kind of, it's almost like Tetris here with tater tots. You're like, okay, I got it. All right, so once again, you are just getting these in little rows. And you, I mean, buy whatever tater tots you want. I just got the store brand for today's show. Okay, so now you've got that layer of tater tots. It is ready to go. So what you're going to be doing is putting this sausage right on top of the tater tots. All right, super easy. We've already done that. I'm once again using, if you're like, what is she looking at? I always use my notes because even though I have this recipe almost memorized, if I don't use notes, I'll forget something. You'll be like, hey, you forgot the tater tots. It would be something like that too. All right, so the sausage, peppers, onions, this is all done. What we're gonna do now is put this on top of the tater tots. Super easy, spread it around. Turn off my burner here. There we go. Loving this Jen Air kitchen here at Mountain High Appliance. All right, so you're spreading out the sausage, onion, pepper mixture. It's important to get it spread out somewhat evenly. All right, you got that going on. Now what I want you to do is I want you to get a cup of the Monterey Jack cheese. This is Monterey Jack and Colby. I do kind of a combo here. And you're putting it right on top of that sausage. All right, next I've got sharp cheddar. Once again, this is 1 cup of sharp cheddar. And it's going right on top of the sausage. Perfect, easy peasy. All right, give the eggs another little stir. Let's make sure we got them all right. All right, when I tell you how easy this is, here is how it is going. We are going to be pouring the eggs right on top of the whole thing. Pour it evenly because it will be soaking down into everything. So if you forget a spot, it will even it out somewhat, but still a good idea. Pour it out evenly. Kind of give it a little shake there. All right, I've got my foil here. So here's what we're gonna do. So that oven that we started at 375, you are gonna cover your egg casserole, your tater tot, sausage, egg casserole with foil. The first 25 minutes, it is going into the oven with the foil on it. All right, and then after 25 minutes, we're gonna take the foil off and we'll cook it another 20 to 25 minutes. And when you pull it out of the oven, you're gonna see the cheese is melted, it's bubbly, you'll know it's done. All right, let's take it on over. We're gonna put it in the oven. And once again, we're gonna bake that for 25 minutes, and then we'll come back and do another 20 to 25 without the foil. All right, it's been 25 minutes. Let's go ahead and start pulling off this foil. All right, there we go. Foil is off. Slide it back in, and now you want to bake it another 20 to 25 minutes. All right, so we've got our time. The timer just went off. We've got another, we put in there for the 20, 25 minutes without the foil. You'll see why. All right, look how delicious this looks. All right, so this is your tater tot sausage, gluten-free egg bake. It is a little hot. We're just gonna cut into it here. All right, I want you to be able to see how great that looks. Look at that. Perfect. All right, you can see kind of looking at the side, the tater tots, you can't even tell they're tater tots at this point. But that's how your egg bake or your egg casserole should look. Let's give it a little go here. So good. Oh, this is so delicious. I was going to keep eating. But if you want this recipe, you're going to find it at melissamoremedia.com. Also, Melissa's Mile High Kitchen. If you haven't done so yet, it would mean so much to me if you would go to the YouTube channel that you're watching this on, Melissa's Mile High Kitchen, and hit the subscribe button. Also, if you have any notes, you want to send me any comments, I always love hearing from you and I will always get back to you. So put those there as well. This recipe is delicious, it's easy. And like I said, if you're somebody that maybe you've been wanting to take a meal to somebody, this is such a great and easy meal. I know we always eat it for breakfast. You could have it for dinner or brunch or something like that. And you can even freeze these and then take it out, let it get to room temperature, and then heat it back up in the oven. All right, until next time, from the Mountain High Appliance Showroom here in Littleton, Colorado, in the beautiful Jen Air Kitchen, I'm Melissa Moore. Thanks for hanging out with me.